The Amityville Horror.
Possession.
3D.
Asylum.
Harvest.
Strange Beyond's Radio presents the Amityville Horror Picture Show. That's Eric. I'm Kelly. We are your hosts on the increasingly strange journey of the Amityville film franchise, of which there are 50-some entries as of this recording. There are so many entries because the Amityville murders of 1974 are public fact, and there is no copyright on the name of Amityville. Each episode features a revolving door of guest hosts, and today I'm thrilled to introduce Kim Douthit as our Amityville A New Generation guest host. And Kim, nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me back.
Please take 30 seconds, brag about yourself. Don't leave out the ghost hunting, please.
Oh, yes. My name is Kim. I'm a Seattle area performer, director, filmmaker, educator. I do ghost hunting and haunted tours at Spooked in Seattle. I have my own podcast with a fellow ghost hunter, Gabby, called Ghoulish Tendencies. I talk about horror films at Crypticon, which is how I met you awesome folks.
Right.
Yeah. There's always.
Mm-hmm.
And you even did a DeFeo Murders episode or an Amityville episode on your own podcast.
We did, yeah. A couple years back, we did a double episode. The first half covering the murders, the second half covering the haunting.
Well said.
Yes. But it's such a bonkers case, which
it really is.
Yeah, both sides.
Everyone who's listened to these episodes knows how Eric and I feel about all of this stuff.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But I missed out on the phenomena of like this could have been happening because I was an 80s baby.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Right.
Fell
Yeah.
for
So
Yeah.
we call this everybody's Amityville origin story. Eric and I were alive during this. We lived through. I mean, my mom had the book in the house, and we watched the TV specials and everything like that,
Yes.
and saw the movie in the theater. But that was not the case with you.
No, that was not the case with me. I was actually initially more familiar with the murder side. Being the big true crime person that I am, I was familiar with the DeFeo murders. And then I went to college on Long Island, where it's obviously a much bigger thing.
I would think so. Yeah.
It's like Bundy to us, too. It's your local weird, your local crazy.
Oh, we get a bunch over here.
Oh,
you know.
Yeah. Take your pick. Go down the list. I like to play 6 Degrees to a Serial Killer if you grew up in the Pacific Northwest.
jeez.
It's an awesome game. Maybe not awesome. That's the wrong word. But no, my roommate, my freshman year, was super into the case and was convinced. She's like, it's a demon house. It's a demon house. I'm like, okay. Simmer down now. But she made it her mission to make sure I was educated on Amityville and all of its
Or maybe miseducated.
miseducation. I think even then I was just like, okay, girl. Like, I mean, I believe in ghosts, but
Did you actually go visit the house then? Did you get to see it?
she took me out. Like, we drove out one day, but then it took her a while to find it because I believe this was post them changing
Changing the
Oh,
windows.
yeah.
Yeah, and so we eventually found it, but it didn't look the same, and
Yeah.
that threw her, because I think she used to go a lot when she was younger and hadn't done it recently, and she's like, this isn't what, there's no eyes. There's no eyes. The demon's eyes, the devil's eyes. I was like, oh, that's the wrong franchise, sweetie. No. But yeah, so we did, but it was in its Botox days or whatever. It wasn't quite as impressive.
Well, okay, so this episode we are talking about the 7th film in the Amityville
That's right.
franchise. This is really an interesting film because the next film is the 2005 Ryan Reynolds remake. We are
Oh,
already up to
really?
that. There's
Oh,
there's like a
wow.
10-year break.
Oh, man.
That's significant.
For some reason, I was thinking there's like late 90s ones too, but
Yeah.
guess not.
Nope. So this one we're talking about is Amityville: A Next Generation.
Like it.
It's interesting.
I want you to have it.
Ooh, where did you get this?
It's fantastic.
You know this man?
What do you see?
Maybe he just got to look at himself. This happened 26 years ago, upstate New York. A place called Amityville. Your friend here blew away his whole family.
Prognosis paranoid, delusional sociopath.
What does it signify about the fear?
One advantage of murdering your entire family. You're sure to inherit everything.
It's in your blood.
I want to help you.
Get the hell out of that chair.
Come on, man. It's probably not loaded anyway.
We'll take back control together. What Bronner did was a terrible thing, but that doesn't mean you're going to relive his insanity. You're not going to kill anyone.
How do you know that?
He is.
I'm proud of you, son.
It is from 1993. It had a budget of $1.5 million, no box office because it went straight to video, no Rotten Tomatoes critic score, but a soaring 28% from the audience.
Ooh.
Directed by John Merlowski, who has 43 directing credits, mostly Lifetime movie type stuff. Flicks like Sinister Stepsister or Killer Caregiver or Birth Mother's Betrayal. I'm not a fan of alliteration, so these titles offend me. However, he also directed Zombie Hamlet, Terminal Error, and Black Cadillac, all of which are titles I approve of.
Don't forget, Santa with muscles.
I missed that one.
I'm sorry. Santa, that's the actual.
I believe it's Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God.
No.
I need to find this movie.
How the Mighty Have Fallen.
That's right.
This guy's still working. He's got films coming out this year. So,
Yeah, got a ton of directing credits.
yeah. This was written by the writing team of Chris DeFario and Antonio Toro, who both wrote the last Amityville flick, It's About Time, right? So we've got the same writers of the last hit.
Ooh.
Antonio didn't go on to anything else, really. But DeFario became a pretty big mucky-muck, producing and executive producing films such as Ready Player One, Mad Max Fury Road, and Gravity.
All right. Moved up a little.
Yeah, not too bad. He's doing all right. Don't feel too bad for him. Starring Ross Partridge, who has 80 acting credits, mostly one-shot television episodes. He was also in Jurassic Park: The Lost World as Curious Man, or The Kiss as actor. He was in Prom Night as businessman, and he was in The Freebie as bartender.
Oh, it was a great performance.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did
Some
all
of-
right.
Some of his best work.
His best hair, though, is probably in this.
It's true. This was good hair.
Also in this is Lala Sloatman, which is an excellent villain name, in my opinion. 17 credits, including Joe versus the Volcano, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and Eric. Pump up the volume.
Hell yeah. Damn right.
Julia Nixon is also in this. She has 62 credits, mostly TV, but also Rambo First Blood Part 2, Double Dragon, and The Modelizer. Yeah.
Whoa.
These titles.
I read that. I was like, that's not a word.
It's not.
Modelizer?
It's not. But good for them for trying.
That's right.
And then the oft-seen David Naughton with
Oh, yes.
94 credits, including Eric Steel and Lace,
Hey, that sounds familiar.
Midnight Madness, An American Werewolf in London, and 9 episodes of Making It.
Oh.
Making It. Also in this movie, Ontario Quinn, Richard Roundtree, Lynn Shay, and Tom Wright, all actors you will recognize when you see them. Guys, I watched this movie only 3 times.
Oh my God.
Normally, I give it a nice 5-time rating, but I've been very busy. So all my notes are kind of as I'm watching, just speaking into my microphone and recording. So as we go through this, please jump in. Tell me anything that you want to give me more detail on.
I'll see how it'll work out for me. I had a very weird viewing of this. I was laying in bed about 4 a.m. going, oh, we got this going on. So I got up and I watched it.
That was your one viewing of this. Was
That was one time I was able
sleepy?
to fit it in this weekend. So
Excellent.
it should be fun to see how. It seems like I remember it very well. So we'll see how that goes.
And then Kim, you watched it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, 4 or
Yeah,
5
that's right.
times.
I don't believe you.
Totally. That was so many times I could just recite it verbatim for you right now in my one woman show. That's how many times that I watched it with my cat. Because
I watched it twice,
Yeah.
once with each eye.
Both of you guys are really disappointing me in your commitment to this podcast.
this had that level of 90s movie going on for it where you're like, I've seen this movie before.
It is very familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
First off, I would just want to say this is a movie, the moral of which seems to be do not accept furniture from homeless people.
I mean, that was already
That'll work.
like kind of a motto I lived by. So I'm glad that this reinforced that
That's
lesson.
right. Yes.
That Amityville Takes Manhattan was able to do that. So that's what I feel like would have been a better title.
Except this is supposed to be Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I know, but it had such that like. I also had questions of this mirror unbroken. I'm jumping ahead in the plot.
Sure,
I apologize. Spoiler alert.
This is the one about the mirror.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
But that it makes its way unbroken from and this homeless man is carrying it there.
It's
How long
cursed.
has he been
It's
touting it
cursed.
around?
It's magically cursed that the curse of not breaking.
So these are the notes I had made after watching it first. The movie isn't as bad as the Amityville Curse, the last one we watched,
Yes,
simply
very
because
true.
it has a bunch of actors that are pretty good in it. They are not necessarily good in this movie,
No.
but we know that they are good actors given a strong script
They're
and a
trying
decent director.
real hard.
They're
Real
acting.
hard.
They are
They
acting
are
hard.
acting from their head to their toe. I see the acting.
So right off the bat, like you were saying, Kim, a homeless dude pushing a shopping cart breaks into a car window on a city street, and that makes this like a RoboCop world.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
soon as it started, I was like,
Yes.
when is this?
But he steals an umbrella.
He steals an umbrella.
That was my favorite part. I was like, is he taking the stereo? Is there no, it's the umbrella.
Umbrella.
Okay.
They were simple.
Okay.
And then we go up to the protagonist's apartment. He can, well, actually, his girlfriend can look out and see this happening. And they live in an apartment that would cost roughly $4 million a month.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's
Yes.
2
yes.
stories.
The best artist loft building
Uh-huh.
that has ever existed.
Exposed brick and wood, floor to ceiling windows like my old apartment
and
windows.
that's
Did you
right,
notice
yes.
that?
The plants in the hallways between apartments.
The weird little lobby they have.
Yeah.
Until they go outside, and then I'm like, that's the outside of this building?
Yeah.
Yeah, none of it really works. And also, it's supposed to be an artist commune, and I'm like, why didn't I ever get in on this kind
Yeah,
of
no
deal?
kidding.
I want to know where I'm like, how can what's happening?
Yeah.
Where do I sign up? Because I've done a couple of those before and none of them look like that.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes it tough to believe that our protagonist, Keys,
Like,
is a struggling artist,
Yeah.
but not based on the amount of space they have in the place and however much that Aquanet is costing to get his hair looking that
He's-
fucking amazing.
he's struggling to find the perfect blend of hair care products. We've
He
all
uses-
been there.
He uses more than his girlfriend.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
guaranteed.
For sure.
Yeah. He takes more time on his hair than his girlfriend.
Oh, much more.
Guaranteed.
For sure, for sure. Also, his neighbor is Suki, who is also an artist, very attractive, and she's got an asshole boyfriend played. Did you guys recognize him? The
Mhm.
dude from Vamp and
Yeah.
Weird Science.
Love Vamp. That's
Something
what-
else I can't remember.
Yeah.
I just want you guys to know he's pounding on the door to get let in, but he is thwarted. Right? This comes back later.
Oh, yeah, that matters.
Mhm. He's having his Stella moments. Suki!
And then David Naughton shows up on a bicycle built for 2.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was it. That is, here's the dork of the movie here. What is going on?
I literally sat up and I was like, this movie is already fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Who's writing a bicycle built for 2? What are they trying to say? What's going on with David Naughton at this point? In 1994, this is really only 10 years, 12 years after American Werewolf in London.
Sure.
He's taking whatever he can get, I guess.
Yeah.
I felt,
A dream to do.
Bicycle Built for Two by yourself is another statement on life and society and
Well, he's
emptiness.
with somebody.
Yeah.
I know,
Uh,
but is he really with them?
well, no, he's
Not-
not with
Oh,
them.
see?
So
Not according to the movie. She just
Not
kind of
according
shows
to the
she shows
movie.
up at the end to be a very important place filler,
Yes.
Yeah.
but she really does nothing until
She
that
does
final
nothing.
I
art
couldn't
show.
figure out. Are they a couple? Because later on, it doesn't seem like they're a couple. At least not in his head.
Yeah.
But I think that was supposed to be, without them outwardly saying it, I was like, oh, that's why you're being so sheepish later on, because you're doing things you shouldn't be doing.
I see.
But
Okay.
I may have been reading more into that than it deserved.
Certainly more than the writers did.
Yeah, good point.
I ask questions, they don't.
Typical East Coast-ish coffee shop on the bottom floor of this
Yes.
place.
A very nice shop inside of this god awful looking
Yeah.
building. again.
yeah,
Called Ground Zero,
right.
P.S.
They always have to have a groovy name.
Grounds.
Cool
Okay.
artwork on the walls,
Mhm.
and that's when I'm starting to look at this, going, "Is this supposed to be New York? Is this supposed to be
Yeah.
Philadelphia? It's too clean, quite honestly, to be New York."
Or Philadelphia, for that matter.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Except it's actually shot in Philadelphia, so
It's a very clean part of
They-
Philadelphia.
they cleaned it up, and then they put a car there for the guy to break into.
Well, I kept getting that very New York vibe or aesthetic.
Yeah, which
Want
makes
to
sense.
be 90s
Yeah,
New York a little
yeah.
bit more.
Yeah.
Definitely not 70s New York.
Yeah.
No. But that very 90s,
Toxic
like,
Avenger kind of
Right.
Traumaville looking.
So our group has shown up at this coffee shop with David Naughton, who is the landlord, it turns out, of this artist
who
company.
is named Dick, right?
Oh, yes, of
Oh,
course.
sure.
And then we get a lot of exposition
Mhm.
in the form of a discussion about how nobody's paying their rent and nobody can afford to pay their rent because nobody's selling any art pieces. But if they could put on an art show,
Ta-da!
yeah.
That'll
We'll
solve
sell-
all of our
That's right.
problems.
But
to
the
a,
guy who's the landlord of a art commune, what does he think of this idea?
he's not big on it.
I'm shocked.
And I also don't understand why.
Yeah.
I don't know what his problem is.
It's not like they're outside. Like, I could understand if you happen to rent to a bunch of people who turned out to be artists and then they weren't paying their rent and you were like, y'all. But I'm like, no, it's an art compound. What do you think they were going to do?
He seems to very much like the people as artists, but doesn't want them to
Yeah,
have an art show.
Yeah.
his whole character is so weird because I guess they want you to think he's kind of a hard ass at the beginning,
Yeah.
but he's clearly interested in art because he wants to buy art pieces.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I don't know, literally nothing in this movie makes sense.
No.
Just the normal day-to-day real world stuff doesn't make
yes.
sense.
Yes.
So you're like, what am I watching? And the real problem is this: why am I watching an 8-minute scene where they are discussing the rent? This is all
Acting.
This is all stuff that can be discussed so
is
much quicker.
Jonathan Larson was taking copious notes. Like,
This also along those lines, when that scene hit and they're all sitting around going, this is probably the best looking cast of an Amityville horror film.
Oh,
oh
well,
yeah.
I mean, this looks like the WB
No.
casting
Yeah.
agents of
All
the future.
very attractive people. Very attractive. Because it's all, again, like 20-something artists.
Did you guys? I just realized it because I kept thinking of who this Keys actor looked like, and I couldn't quite place him. But it just hit me. Scott Valentine. Do you remember Scott Valentine from
Oh.
I know
Family
the name.
Ties?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I kept
can see
thinking
that.
it was him, and then when I
Mhm.
looked it up, I was like, "Oh, that's not Scott Valentine."
That's
it's-
probably why it bugged me so much. He reminds me of somebody. I looked it up and I saw,
Yeah,
like, I've seen some of these things, but I don't recognize him for being, man standing at bar or whatever it was.
But he's that generic 90s floppy haired
Yeah.
attractive that you could, there was a lot of stars at the time you could kind of put in as placeholders. It was the same dude.
yeah. I just want to make sure the listener knows, because you say floppy hair like it's a bad thing. This hair is
no
it
judgment.
stands up
It's-
before it flops.
It's true.
It's an
It's-
impressive,
It's true.
It's
impressively coiffed.
yeah.
It would flow in the wind very nicely.
It's distractingly awesome.
Yes. And it may be because, after 50 some odd years, I've finally started to show a little little bit thinning, but I notice hair on guys more in movies than I ever did before.
Right.
And let me tell you, this dude's got it.
It's a little hair envy going on.
4 in the morning, Eric unbuckles his pants.
Oh, not that kind of excitement. That's not what the hair is interesting.
While staring out the window of the coffee shop, Keys sees this homeless guy crawling out of a box, and it sets off some kind of weird thing with him. If you watch it more than once, like I did, you realize he's getting some kind of weird memory flashback. But anyhow, he goes
It took
outside.
you more than one viewing to realize that.
Well, listen. It did.
Yeah.
It did take me more than one.
That's all right. You're probably playing on your phone.
Well, that is part of the problem of a boring film.
Yes, exactly. What did I miss? I don't care.
Exactly right. I never once rewound anything. So he goes outside to talk to the dude, and the dude gives him a mirror.
It's huge too.
Yeah, not like a hand mirror.
It's not just huge. It is hideously ugly.
Yes.
It's got this bizarre handmade or hand concrete poured frame with a demon around it and everything. And all I could think of was, okay, before we know the history of this mirror at all, we already know it came from the Amityville house because this is an Amityville movie. And then you start thinking about this mirror hanging up there and that lamp from the 3rd or 4th movie, and then that clock.
Oh, God.
And you're like,
yes.
this house was the ugliest fucking house ever.
Good Lord. Great point.
It's just like this furniture is very, very bad.
It's almost, I could almost see a young Mike Flanagan watching this. I could do better.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I'm going to do a haunted mirror.
Yeah. And then, of course, my brain is always like, look, I understand what's going on with these films and that there was no idea that they were going to be making a franchise with
You're right.
these kind of movies in it. But I'm like, how come we didn't see that mirror in the Amityville movie? And isn't there possibly a shot of a mirror like in Amityville 2 that they could have said, let's just reconstruct that one and tie it into the fucking franchise?
There's an idea. I know they couldn't have done that with the lamp, but they could have done that with the mirror.
They could have done it with the lamp too. There's got to be a scene with a lamp.
There's at least one scene with a
but
lamp.
it wouldn't look like that.
No. But at least the mirror, I will say, if in the scale of what is scarier, lamp or mirror, at least the mirror I
Yes.
can buy as like there are actual quote unquote cursed mirrors as a cursed object. There is a precedence to that being something that could be some kind of demonic portal or haunted or cursed. So they're at least like they're trying. They're trying so hard.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. All these, or at least this particular trilogy
Yes.
of 5, 6, and 7, all take place, and they are supposedly based on The Evil
book,
Escapes,
yeah.
the John G. Jones book. Oh, also, let's not forget that there was also a confessional in the house at some point.
Oh, that's right. That's
Anyway, but so the idea of that book is that there are these cursed items that get auctioned off, and then it causes problems for the owners and everything. And yet, none of these 3 things are the things that are talked about in the book. It's not a clock, it's not a lamp, or a mirror.
Jesus.
So it's just like, what is going on here? You guys had to pay him some kind of money to say it was based on this book. So why not use something from the fucking book?
Yeah.
But it's based on a book.
It's book.
Right.
We booked. Look at us.
Yeah,
Look.
see, exactly.
So he brings the mirror home and everything. His girlfriend hates it, but Suki sees it and she falls in love with it and asks if it's okay if she can borrow it because the commune has gotten the okay to plan their art show.
Somewhere at some time it was approved.
It was one of my favorite lines. It was like, "Don't be a dick," or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and unfortunately, the writing in this is so shoddy that all I could think was they named that guy Dick so they could use that line.
Absolutely. Well, it's the 90s movies checklist.
Yeah.
It's like, do we have a black character and an Asian character? Check.
Right.
Are neither of them the leads? Check. Did we call it the landlord who's kind of sketchy? Dick. Check. Like,
Let's see. So then we have our first sex scene. Our naked sex scene on the floor in front of a space heater.
That was
Um,
weird.
I just want you guys to know I think everybody knows I am not opposed to sex in my movies or boobies.
No.
In fact, I am a big fan of boobies.
Uh-huh.
But this is the blandest sex
Oh,
scene
God.
Really
ever
is.
shot.
It's so.
It mostly focused on his back hair, which is fine. But I was like, of all the things, you're just lingering camera shots.
Can we highlight that with a nice pinpoint light and just make
Yeah.
that hair
Just really
just right
pop.
as we get to the butt? It's gonna go. It's beautiful.
All I could think of was they're having sex on the floor in front of the space
Yeah.
heater, and there's a perfectly fine bed
There
up
is.
there.
Yeah.
I get that I'm an old man and that, bed
Hardwood floors are.
floor sex just doesn't interest me anymore. There's a point in your life you reach an age where you're like, I'm probably not going to have sex on a floor ever again.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm
in my
fine with
past.
that.
And I'm fine with that.
But I think that the only reason this was done was to somehow make this sex look like it was fun. Because if it had been
good
shot in the
point.
bed, it would have been even more boring. At least we had the orange light of the space heater.
Mhm.
And
Atmospheric.
Yeah.
A little ambiance.
yeah, at one point later in the film, she like turns up the space heater and she's cold. And I was like, oh, a little callback to the original, right? Because
Hey.
George Lutz couldn't get warm.
Mhm.
And then I thought, not haunted at all, you guys. I have lived in a space like this. Those windows are not going to allow you to ever get warm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That space heater is not going to help.
that's just practical on-set heating.
Yep.
right.
Yep. Especially if it's concrete in any way. Like I live in a concrete building. Ooh, it's just cold. That's the default.
Is your building haunted?
My haunted doll is haunted. So
Oh,
I have
alright.
brought the haunting into my building.
You know what, Kim? I just realized I
Better.
wish that we had gotten to know each other a little better earlier because when I moved out of my place,
Oh,
I decided to toss away a haunted cosmetic case that I had bought.
Ooh.
yeah.
And the story behind that is the antique store down the road had in their window haunted cosmetic case, a little note on it with this old cosmetic case,
Uh-huh.
and it said no returns, cats fear it, all this stuff. So I walked in and I said, "Can I see the haunted cosmetic case?" And
Yeah.
the lady was like, "Okay," and she brings it to me. I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'm taking it." And she's like, "You're gonna buy this?" It's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And she said, "It's haunted."
Cool.
And I was
You're
like, I was like,
Here it is.
"This is
Nice.
the only reason I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I don't need an old cosmetic case."
Although coming soon to the next Amityville, the next franchise is going to be
Amityville
Amityville
Cosmetic.
Yeah, that's right.
Eric pointed out something once I got it because we were looking at it,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Anything bad yet?" And I was like, "No, I mean, nothing worse than everything else going on in my life."
Sure.
But he opened it up, and he was like, "Cats fear everything, first of
That's
all."
true.
Yes.
It's
But
true.
this
Yes.
thing smelled funny. And he was
Oh.
like, "I know why cats don't like this. This
Yeah.
thing smells funny."
It's got a funky scent.
Yeah. So, but because nothing ever happened with me with it,
Mm.
I ended up just tossing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have donated it to you and had you run your.
Do my little test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
do
my
things of it.
doll's actually pulled some stuff. And
Yeah?
so yeah.
wow.
Like she's more active in the wintertime, and it's not as bad now as when I first got her and she like turned the stove on once. That was annoying.
right.
We had a talk about that. We had a very serious conversation about that when I came home and the stove was on and I hadn't cooked for a week. And my cat is smart. She's not that smart. But stuff sometimes flies off my shelves late at night.
Oh.
So I'll wake up and something's like, phoom. I'm like, Millie, for Christ's sakes, I'm sleeping. And she'll turn the TV on at 3 a.m. and then like escalate the volume on it.
Why do you know it's the doll and not something else in the place?
I mean, as far as I know, it's the only haunted object in my place.
Okay.
And all of this stuff started after I acquired it. It was sent to me by a friend of mine who I went to college with, who, when her grandmother died, and she inherited a bunch of her grandmother's stuff, including this doll. And she started noticing just weird stuff, similar, like things that fall off the shelf. The doll apparently, she said, I've never had this happen, but she said the doll would change where it was located.
Nice. Elf on the shelf.
Yeah, exactly. And she was just like, fuck that noise. And was ready to chuck it. Before she did that, she, called me and she's like, do you want this thing? And I was like, absolutely I do.
People don't get it.
No,
I
well,
get it.
we have
You
a
get
haunted
it.
doll collection at Spooked, so I figured, well, if it's a little too weird or a little too aggressive, I'll take her to Spooked, and she can live with all the other haunted dolls and make haunted doll friends.
There you go.
But yeah, so
Do you know the history of why it's haunted?
what I'm unclear of is if she's haunted by the grandmother or if she was haunted before. And that's the thing that my friend can't help me because she talked to her mom too. Like, did grandma ever mention anything weird with the doll? Nothing. So I don't know. I know that she had the doll for a long time. Doll's from the 50s, so it could have even been hers from when she was a kid.
Sure. Okay.
And if it was, that could be grandma has started haunting the doll. But the haunting, it's so weird. Like, she gets kind of petty if you don't acknowledge her. Because I'll bring her to my classes sometimes. The kids they get a kick out of the haunted doll.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, if you guys are good, I'll bring in my haunted doll. Or if you're bad, I'll bring in my haunted doll. Either or. And she's more chill when she's either being referred to. Sometimes when we're recording our podcast, we'll talk about Millie. Or if somebody's over and I'm talking about her. Or if I bring her places, she tends to stay much more like stuff doesn't happen. But as soon as a certain amount of time goes by and I've not acknowledged her, that's when stuff really starts to, like, the stove turns on, or she's flinging things off the shelves, or the cat just starts staring at a shelf she can't see. And I'm like, why are you doing this? So to me, that's more like a kid and not something I don't know, maybe an old lady would do that. My grandma does some stuff sometimes. I'm like, but I wish I knew the origin of where the doll came from outside of her grandmother. Like, was it something that belonged to her grandmother always? Or did grandma get it and whoever she got it from, it was already haunted? And that outside of suddenly coming across grandma's diary, I'm not sure if we're going to have an answer.
How do you feel? And you can absolutely say no.
Sure.
How do you feel about sending us a picture of that we can post when this episode goes live so people can see what you're talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got pictures of her on her. During the pandemic, I was taking a picture of her every day because I was noticing stuff on the shelf moving.
Okay.
And no one else was obviously coming into my apartment, and I lived by myself. So I started taking pictures so I could track if something moved. So I got a ton of pictures on my phone of her.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, that's cool.
All of that so much more interesting than this movie.
Yeah. Very, very. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Suki's ex-boyfriend shows up when she's gone. Remember how he couldn't get into the place at all when we first met him?
Yeah.
He seems to have no problem getting right inside.
So
this
look,
time.
doors open.
Hey.
And then becomes the first victim of the mirror in a way I'm not quite sure how it works. Death by very shallow cuts, I
Very
guess.
shallow
Yeah.
cuts. Yeah.
Death of 1,000 cuts or whatever that is.
So,
Right. Anyway, he
Torture.
dies, and that's the first time we see the Amityville reflection in the mirror.
Yeah.
yeah.
Scary. No, wait.
It's not scary, but I will say I thought there was some cool lighting stuff where I was
Yeah.
like, this is super low budget and it doesn't have a whole lot going on for it. But again, they were doing some things.
It was real in camera practical.
Yeah, and I
effects.
appreciate in
It's kinda
camera
cool.
practical effects. So I was like, if this was a filmmaker's first film in college, I would be like, good for you guys, good for you.
Well, you bring up a good point, and obviously these films don't deserve like an oral history interview with all the people involved. They probably don't even deserve the amount of effort we are putting into them.
That's fair.
But this is one of those films that makes me feel like started off as a haunted mirror story and then
Yes.
was turned into an Amityville
Absolutely.
haunted mirror story.
I agree. Because if it was just a flat haunted mirror movie,
Yeah.
I think it'd have a little bit more of a cult following or knowledge. But as a Amityville, it's just weird.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very odd.
But you take out any reference to Amityville, the story doesn't change.
No, it really doesn't.
Like,
No,
at
because
all.
even the murder in the Amityville house is not the DeFeo
It's
murder.
not the DeFeo
Yeah,
murder,
exactly.
which
So-
is a whole other thing I have feelings about. But
Right.
With that first scene, I'm going, the fuck is this?
I was like, that's not how the
Oh,
DeFeo murder.
Okay, I looked it
Oh.
up. All right. I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
After the ex-boyfriend dies, Terry O'Quinn suddenly shows up, and I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah,
Oh,
Terry
yeah.
O'Quinn!" I forgot what he looked like, young and with hair.
Mm-hmm. He's doing his very best Inspector Javert too. Like,
I fucking love him, but even he cannot drag us out of how
No.
boring this film has become.
but he's got a really good suspicious look.
He
That's
does.
right. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, And this is post Stepfather,
Yeah.
so you're
Mhm.
you're kind of waiting for him to do something.
I was
There you
hoping.
go.
I was like, if this was a crossover between Stepfather and Amityville, oh my God, how good would
Wow.
that be?
Stepfather meets Amityville.
Right?
He's
I
now
am
pretending
here.
to be a cop.
Yes.
right.
I'm so
Oh,
here for that
perfect.
movie.
Okay, and
If
so then
only.
we get into the first dream sequence. So Keyes is having dreams about the Amityville house. It is a very confusing dream because prior to this, we thought the DeFeos were the people who were murdered in the house. But his recurring dream is going to start showing us that there were people who were murdered about 10 years earlier than that. Also, this house,
Yep.
the layout of this house looks nothing like the house that
Yeah.
we have seen. There's just no effort to tie this in. And it makes me even wonder if not was this a script that got turned? Was this a movie that they went and reshot some
Yeah.
scenes and
Oh.
started adding in Amityville?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, kind of, and this is not a deep regret, but kind of makes me regret that I didn't get the Vinegar Syndrome did a box set of these 3 movies. And they do have extras. They've got interviews and they've got stuff like that. So there might be that out there. But you know what? I'm okay if I never learn.
We'll
about
we'll
these
do some
films.
special edition episodes and come back in 10 years, look at this
Deep
stuff.
cuts.
The mirror, having tasted blood, starts working on Suki immediately afterward, but instead of killing her, it inspires her
That's fair.
Yay.
to start painting. Um,
A lot.
Yeah. In a very short amount of
Yes.
time.
one night, apparently.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I've got a side note written down here.
Okay.
Is there anything worse than a movie about photographers or painters or musicians or sculptors or any kind of artists, but when we see their art, it's not very good? And then
Yeah.
inevitably we see a change in their art, and it's supposed to show us that they are somehow magically better than they were when we first saw it, but the art that they have used in this film is still not very good.
Yeah. Or
still
sometimes
fine.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like,
You're like, that demon is a really shitty
yeah.
demon. Even he can't make uncomfortable art or something like that.
No. Well, and you feel a little gaslit because you're like, I'm supposed to think this is good.
Yeah. I see why you live supposedly in a place you can't pay the rent.
Right? This is why Dick doesn't want them to have an art show. Like, he's just like,
He's
y'all are so
protecting them.
pretty. You're so pretty. And I'm enjoying that. But don't show other people your art,
I
guys.
advertise this as an artist's loft.
Yeah.
And you will ruin that.
Yeah.
The what was it? When it works, it's awesome. There's like 2 movies where the art is really, really fucking good.
I
in a
was
horror
trying to
film.
think of something like that, and I
The-
came up with, I think it's called like the Devil's Playground or Devil's Candy or something like
Devil's
that.
Candy. Yeah, that's the
I
one.
thought the art,
Mhm.
really
not
good.
necessarily the art was good, but it was so disturbing looking that I
Yes.
thought it really
Mhm.
served the
It's
film.
very
Mhm.
interesting and stuff. So, yeah. And normally when art gets destroyed in a movie, it really bothers me. It's all right. This is like Clive Barker art as done by children. So,
That was what I kept thinking about. Oh, I think probably Candyman was the other one that I thought the art was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
but you said Clive Barker because Clive Barker does art that's uncomfortable to look at.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I feel like that's what they were trying to go for with this kind of stuff. But if that's the case, I would have asked the artist to just look at a bunch of Clive's art and recreate it or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
I did actually, 5 in the morning or whatever, start to try to find more about this artist. I guess we're not the only ones that didn't go too deeply into it. I was curious if it was an artist they hired, if it was their set director,
Yeah.
or if it was.
Well, part of the problem is the art doesn't even look like it was made from piece to piece by the same person.
No.
Right. That's probably why that's how she got all of them done in one night.
Exactly. She was actually going out back with her wallet, being like, all right, you paint me a picture. You paint me a picture. Doesn't have to be good. Just look kind of creepy.
Here I've got a note about Keyes and his girlfriend taking the walk through the park, and he admits something about his family to her, and he didn't know his dad and all
Right.
this stuff, and she wants to push the relationship forward, and he's a dude who isn't good at sharing emotions. I wrote down here, he is a struggling artist with amazing hair, and I can tell you both from experience that goes a long way with some chicks.
That's true. That's the truth.
How
Yeah.
would you know that?
He tells her that he never met his father, and she tells him that she feels like an idiot because she was pushing him to go to the next level, and she hardly knew him at all. And all of this just felt like a very strange scene to me.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. It's like one of those low budget movies where you walk in and suddenly everybody's at a 10, immediately yelling at each other
Yeah.
like crazy. This was an emotional version of that where it's like, suddenly we're talking about the deepest, most emotional things ever as we gently walk through this park, taking pictures of
Right.
like, where did that come from?
Well, see, I kept thinking, were they sharing a set with a soap opera and a script from the soap opera just got slipped into theirs for the day and they just went with it? They're like, oh, I guess this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Meanwhile, on Days of Our Lives, there's an episode where they've suddenly got a haunted mirror for one day.
They had a whole storyline of Marlena being possessed by the devil. So it would not be the
There you
weirdest
go.
thing Days of Our Lives has ever
I
done.
was just going to say, did it happen in 1994?
It was the 90s. Yeah,
Okay,
it was
then.
the 90s. It was.
All right.
Was it? It may have been
The
94.
mystery has been solved.
The writer found that one page and go, I can get 45 episodes out of this page.
They stretched that shit for like 6 months.
So David Naughton shows up at Suki's apartment, and she shows him all of her new art that she apparently painted in one night.
Which makes her very horny.
That's why she
Oh,
was dressing the way
maybe.
she was.
I don't know if she's horny or she's just sexy now. She's wearing overalls with no bra.
Yeah.
And
Or shirt.
Yeah, just
Right.
overalls. Just
Just overalls,
overalls.
right,
That's
right.
it. But it was very like, I don't know, Embrace of the Vampire or something vibe like that.
Oh, wow. I'm going to say that is not a movie that gets referenced frequently, but I do know that one, yes.
But I don't know why that scene, I was getting that kind of
Oh,
like
okay.
the photographer in that scene with Alyssa Milano being all like, hey, and then
how many times have you seen Embrace of the Vampire? Or how recently? Because I remember seeing it once
Yeah.
25 years ago, and I can't place the scene you're talking about, or any scene in that
it's
movie.
the like one of the light lesbian scenes that's in that movie.
Lesbian.
I've seen way too many lesbian scenes, Kim.
They all went together
yeah.
after
that's
a
right.
while.
They
Yes.
all scissored
yes.
together.
Oh.
So Naughton and Suki get a little freaky in front of the mirror, and this sex scene lasts literally 4 seconds, and it is somehow way sexier than the original sex scene. The sex scene is shot during the day. It's
But there's boobs.
in this one.
Sort of.
We see the boobs.
It's a
with the-
passing kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's boobs in the first one too. It
Mostly it's back hair.
I like that. I was looking through some notes on this, like other people's reviews of it, and one of the guys' reviews was, so the director feels like the passing showing of a nipple is the same as having nudity, I guess.
Yeah.
well, and
Like, I guess it is, technically.
you know what? Maybe that made it sexier to me, that it
Could
was
be.
just a glimpse or something. But I
Mhm.
was like, okay, this sex scene works.
Mhm.
Is this the same director? What what happened? Did they have a little more time for setup or something?
They still had that soap opera script. They were pulling notes from.
Oh, there you
They're
go.
like, what can we? Oh, hey,
we
could
could
work
have
with
used that
this.
earlier.
Okay.
Of course, the coitus is interruptedus by Terry O'Quinn, and he shows up to ask her to sign the statement from last night, which seems weird. Wouldn't they have them sign the statement right after they made the statement?
One would think.
You would think, yeah, because
Mhm.
this is, I don't know. Did I say this? Could be, but it's been 24 hours
Yeah.
since I told you.
This looks mostly correct. My favorite moment in that scene though is when he's like, "Is Keys here?" And she just yells.
Right.
And the look then that the detective gives her is such the like look my mom used to give me when I would call my brother. She's
Sure.
like, "Get your brother for dinner." Dan!
Sure. He did have a look like I could have done
I
that.
could have
Yeah,
done that.
thanks. Thank you.
She also outs David Naughton
Oh, yeah?
hiding
Yeah,
in
so
the
he
back
comes
there.
out with his shirt off. and it's like,
I don't get what any of this scene means, or because it means nothing. It means nothing later on in the movie,
Sure.
even where you're like, oh, will he be suspected for Suki's eventual death? No.
no, not really.
He is the one who
Well,
finds her
Will there
because
be friction between him and his wife/girlfriend?
No, not really.
Not really. Maybe a nudge towards it.
yeah. So anyway, later that night, Suki is confronted by her demons. Her demons have all been painted on the cool hanging art that she has, and apparently they come to life and disappear from the art, which is kind of a neat thing that never shows up again and makes no sense. And so there's no reason for it to be here at all. Just like every scene in this movie, it's just a scene of something that happens that will not matter
Mhm.
towards anything else in the movie. As a writer,
Sure.
that frustrates me.
I kept getting distracted by the hanging nooses
Right.
that were
Yeah, that
just
was weird.
there.
I mean,
Well, she's an artist, and I feel like I
It's
feel like
art.
this is display. You know, the art is
Yeah.
being displayed, and so the
Mhm.
nooses sit there too. And obviously, she's troubled.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's got some issues,
Mhm.
and so the nooses are there to. Fuck! I'm putting way more
Yeah,
thought
you're
into
really
this.
going
than
It's,
the
deep
you're,
on
you're,
rest.
you're putting more thought
she
than they
put
did.
she had a pulley system so she could
Mhm.
make the very large art, put her foot in, pulled herself up, tainted the top.
Sure. Sure.
At this point, I am thinking that there's kind of a neat story somewhere in this movie. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
the demons coming out of the
Mhm.
paintings and all that stuff. Um, this is a $1.5 million movie. What do you think David Naughton gets for his small part?
Probably a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing anywhere from 375 to 500,000.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Probably for a week's worth of work. So now you've got $1 million to pay some other actors who, you know, charge a little bit. Terry O'Quinn's getting not less than 150
Sure.
for this
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So then you're like, well, what have we got left to spend on
The movie.
the movie? You know, the director's taking a chunk.
Mhm.
The artwork, you know,
Yeah.
costs somebody. So
Renting that space.
Yeah.
That cool loft space.
yeah. So okay. I'd really love to see an above the line budget on
Yeah.
this though.
Yeah, what was left over. Yeah, I mean, overall, like you said to begin with, this was better than the first one, and I think part of, or the series, the lamp and shit like that,
Right.
because it felt like there could be something more going on, and he kept, okay, maybe they're building something. Oh no, they're throwing that one away. No,
Right.
by the end, you're like, okay, well, damn it.
Yeah, it's just a mishmash of stuff.
Mhm.
So in Key's next dream, we see that the mirror was hanging in the dining room of the Amityville house. This is not a good mirror for a dining room.
No.
Oh,
It's got
God,
a
no.
demon head on the top of it.
No. Maybe if you're a basement, or if you're kind of a real goth and you've built your whole
Sure.
house around that look,
Mhm.
sure.
Well, also, it's, you know, if you do the math, that the murder is taking place in is like 66, and you're
yeah.
like, can you imagine somebody in 66 hanging something like this? Sammy Davis Jr. maybe,
Yeah,
Sure.
because he
Vincent
was into
Price.
Satanism and he was groovy.
Mhm.
But the family we see eating at Thanksgiving
A
is
Thanksgiving dinner.
not
that bad,
groovy.
no. No, definitely not.
Yeah, I write down here, this is really going to throw off your feng shui.
Fair.
And it doesn't really matter because the dining room seems to be smaller than Ted Kaczynski's 8x8 shack. They have a table that fills up this room, and the room is not big.
Oh.
It's
There's
a
also only
crap
4
on
people at the table, and
every,
it seats 12.
counter here, and all the filled with all these drawers, dresser drawer, almost looking things like, what the hell is this room? Well, we have 5 bedrooms and no dining room, so we're gonna turn one of our
Just make it, make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well said.
I've got a note here that says Keys and his girlfriend are asked to come and identify a body, and then I've got a side note. So they're driving in the dark. There are 2 driving in the dark scenes, Eric.
Yes.
Quite honestly, none of them look even as good as our driving at night seat in
Well,
our
they
film.
don't.
And I'm trying to figure out how they couldn't do with $1.5 million what we did with 27,000.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so bad.
Our driving at night scene was like shockingly good.
Yeah, it worked so well. It was like, oh, all right.
And it was 2 mag lights on a stick. So
Yeah, we had a grip just basically turning a light that rotated above the car, and
Yeah.
that, and then there was somebody in black with 2 mag lights
Yeah.
as the car behind them.
Mhm.
You know, and it totally sells it. This looks like somebody is sitting in a room in a car or part of a car. Yeah, and they're both kind of slowly doing
overly
this. The
exaggerated
guy's
moving.
driving like this. There's a lot of play in the steering wheel and all this.
The bounce on the train acting.
constantly
right.
almost turning left and right.
Take a whole semester of that at college if you go to school for drama.
So we think that the body they're going to identify is Suki, but it turns out to be the homeless man who gave Keys the mirror. But why?
But why?
Because the dude had Keys' name and address in his pocket. Also, I can't figure out the wounds on his chest. How did he die?
I don't know.
He's
After
got
thought
two-
of the demon from the mirror. Oh shit! I gotta get rid of this
Yeah,
guy.
I gotta close the loop here. Gotta clean up my mess.
He's got like two bloody rectangles on his sternum. And I was like, okay, well, I can't wait to figure out what this means. Not a goddamn thing.
Nothing.
No. Also, mandatory trope of coroner eating.
Oh my god!
Over
a
body.
Just let that one go, man.
And they were like, well, we got to have somebody eating. You know, who's got some stir fry or something here? Well, I have an apple.
Yeah. Great.
Sure. All right.
Yeah. Okay. The next morning, the landlord goes in to talk to Suki and finds her hanged body. I'm looking at this, and I was trying to, even on the third viewing, I'm trying to figure out. I think there's something to be said here about the fact that she hung all her art from the ceiling, and she was also hanged from the ceiling.
Mhm.
But the movie isn't good enough for me to make any of those kind of comparisons, especially on 2 bottles of bubbles. Oh, I forgot about that. My notes are reminding me a lot of what that night was like.
Did that make the movie better?
Made the night better.
Okay,
There
there we
you
go.
go.
There it is.
So let's see. Detective Terry O'Quinn is starting to get a little suspicious of the deaths surrounding this dude. And Keyes ends up back with the mirror in his place. And when he flips it over, he notices a name scratched into the bottom of the frame. Bronner. This is not a great evil movie
No.
name. Slotman is way eviler sounding. And because I put a lot of thought into my character names, I assume everyone else does. So I looked this up. The name Bronner means jovial and loves to talk. So fuck these writers.
Huh.
Oh my god.
Huh.
Just go with Paul then. Dude. I mean,
Right?
come on. You're just
Carl.
Some
Just call him Carl.
random shit instead of that.
Dwayne.
Yes.
Wait, can't even do that now.
Still
We live
scarier,
in-
though.
We live in a
Fuck.
world where
Eh.
Dwayne has become a cool name.
That's true.
Okay. So Keyes finds out that the homeless guy's name was Bronner and that the guy went crazy and killed his family in the Amityville house. I have notes on this because I can't figure this out even after the third viewing. But before we get to that, Lynn Shay shows up in this film.
Yes, she does.
She is the shining
Yes.
moment
Mhm.
in this film.
Her scene is so good.
Yeah, but it's nothing special. It's just
No.
that she makes it special
She is,
because
yeah.
she's having a good time making this movie. She probably was like, paying rent today, no
Yeah,
problem.
The
Mhm.
wonderful flirtatious stuff she was doing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she just took interest. She took nothing lines and made something interesting out of them.
Absolutely, she did. And she plays the nurse who is telling Keyes about Bronner. I also love that she just lets Keyes wander through the hospital
Yeah.
alone. She's like,
Yeah.
have a good time. Be careful. We have no insurance.
Yeah, I was figuring she was just like the caretaker for the closed building. But he walks out the door. There's somebody sitting in the hall. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, have fun.
I was just waiting for her to then like open her drawer and pull like her flask out
That
to take
would've
another
been
There
swig.
you go.
Because
Yes.
I was like, that would explain her jovial nature throughout this entire scene.
That would have been so amazing. Maybe she even brought that to the director and he was like, hey, Lynn, no one's going to buy that.
Too much.
We're
pull
making a
back
serious
and-
movie here.
Yeah.
Pull back, and the dead nurse is underneath the,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
See?
the death.
Look at this. We brainstormed 2 much better scenes
Yep,
already.
yep.
And it was the best scene. So because of that, he is able to have a memory flashback of him as a small boy with his mom being in the hospital to visit somebody. And then he has a hallucination of himself as Bronner going to visit his wife
Yeah,
and
sounds
kid,
weird.
which is his mom.
Right.
So the movie is so fucking complicated,
And
especially after
this-
2 bottles of bubbles.
And the scene shows why he spends so much time on his hair because of the haircut his mom gave him.
Oh,
It was
true.
so tragic.
Just so
Good point.
tragic.
Well, it took me a while because of that hair. I was like, couldn't they have styled this kid's hair awesome so we knew it was the same kid?
That would have
Any,
helped.
any
Like,
relationship between their appearances. Yeah.
no,
No.
the father, mother, and son,
No.
none of them
No.
looked like any of them.
I have a note here that says all this stuff becomes very apparent in a second viewing, but it's all shot so poorly that you can easily miss it on a first viewing if you're on Amazon ordering Kendall Jenner's new teeth whitening pen. I mean, I bet.
Oh, we need video now.
Those are some white chompers I have here.
Hold on, you make a note of that. Kendall Jenner.
So then he kills his wife / his mom during the visit in front of his kid / him.
Which also, how crappy are the orderlies at this hospital?
Man, it took a while.
Yeah.
It's such a delayed reaction. There's like, oh, hey, that looked like it hurt.
I also felt like the writers at this point are like, we could probably tell this a little bit better, but fuck our viewers.
But why should we?
I've already spent all the money from this
Yeah.
freaking script.
Yeah.
Super frustrating. So then Keyes confronts Detective Terry O'Quinn in front of the cemetery gates at night for no reason, about knowing that Bronner was his father. It's almost a good scene
So
because
close.
they're both acting pretty strongly in it. But the dialogue and the idea of the scene is so fucking stupid
Yes.
that I was just getting angry. And the editing of it, it's shot in a very bland, angle. There's never a two shot of the two of them. There's not even an over the shoulder or anything like that.
A cool reveal of what the plaque says or something like that. It's just, oh, here's the shot of it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but also it's like, why here? Why is this scene here? Especially since the next shot is in Keyes' apartment with O'Quinn and everybody. All of this could have been there.
Yeah,
It would have
Quinn,
made sense.
I took a cab here. Give me a ride home.
Yeah. That's cool, right?
So O'Quinn fills Keyes in on who his dad was, and I still don't quite get it. So this is where I'm going to need two people who are probably sober telling me what's going on.
Thinking a lot of me.
Did his dad kill his family at Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Why wasn't the mom and the kid there at Thanksgiving with the family?
I was thinking that he was just seeing what haunted the mirror.
Explain.
Exactly. That's the hard part.
Nah.
That the killing was happened in the house, and the demon was then given to the mirror.
Sure.
And the dad, at some point, never seen on the screen, acquired the mirror, which turned him crazy, and he kept it until he was through he went through the mental institute world, murdered his wife, then got out and became homeless, all while keeping the mirror. So there you go.
Well, okay, so I'm pleased to say that I picked something you missed.
Oh, good.
Well,
because that's his dad killing the family.
yeah, it's his dad killing the family, but if she was the girlfriend, I thought that because he was young when he killed the family.
So he was having an affair with the woman he killed in the institute?
No, okay. At least if I was reading this correctly, is that they were deliberately, at least to me, they were deliberately mimicking the DeFeo murders.
Wow.
Because I don't know.
Well, there was a
The writers
Thanksgiving
were,
killing in 1966 or something, I think I looked up. There was a killing similar to what is shown in the movie.
Okay.
In the house?
I don't know if it was in the house. That's the part that was weird.
I don't think it
looked
was
that up
in the
and
house.
It was like the way it was written. It's the little article I read, whoever wrote it didn't seem to want to say. It was very weird, but there's like supposed to be a
if it were
Thanksgiving
in the house,
killing.
that would have lent a lot more credence to the Lutz's story.
Yeah, I feel like that would have come up in my
Oh, I'm
research
sure
when
it
I
would
was. But no, he was like, like late teenager or something, and he killed his family. But then I thought like girlfriend was pregnant or girlfriend was, and so he was taken away to the institution because he was judged insane, and she was visiting with their son. And then he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs again and killed his wife, girlfriend, whatever. And he watched his dad do that. But when he was watching the killings happening at Thanksgiving, that was him seeing through his dad's eyes because that becomes a thing that happens throughout the rest of that was my take.
So that's my take also, except then it doesn't make too much sense that he's like an 8-year-old kid coming to visit his father for what, the first time? In an insane asylum?
I mean, to be fair, what's the right age to say, son, I'm going to tell you the truth about your father?
Oh, well, I mean, I'd say that if you're going to wait till 8, you should probably wait till 12.
I mean, you're not wrong. But I mean, if we're looking for logic in this movie, bust out another bottle of something because that's going to make it easier.
Well, and also, to your point, I guess, maybe he- he's maybe he's been told earlier because this is all a memory that he's getting back. And
Right.
so maybe he just hasn't gotten back an earlier memory.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand. My thing was that I was confused. I thought that the murder happened and then shortly thereafter, mom and son go to visit him, which would mean that son had been around.
Maybe maybe they were on a break and she took him for dinner at her family's house and that sent him into a rage. And so he shot his own family.
Seems like
then took the mirror off the wall and
then
kept it
took
with
the
him
mirror off.
until he could
He
give it
was
to his son
found
as a homeless
clutching
man
it.
living across the building from
well,
him.
because that's what we do find out. That was his dad, the homeless man,
Yeah.
and the mirror was in the house because we saw that, and that's all he wanted when everything was auctioned off was that mirror.
Yeah.
So apparently the mirror had taken him over or something, made him do this, and
But he got enough money to get it. Or whatever.
That's why he ended up on the street.
That
He
was
spent
all
it.
he
I got the
had.
mirror though.
listen,
all I
I'm telling
needed.
you that mirror shows up at
And
an
an
auction
umbrella.
house. Nobody's bidding. There's no bidding war on that mirror.
$10. Good.
Yes, sold.
A dirty sock. Great. We'll take it.
Yeah. I have this note about the apartment being cold and having to turn up the space heater, and it's never addressed again, and that there's nothing supernatural happening. But then, or is there? Because Kim, did you know I had a dude in my cool old apartments die next to me,
Nice.
Oh, that's
and then
right.
I had to call it in because
Ooh, that's nice.
it was starting to smell.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried about my neighbor actually. Like, is this gonna like the light? He just disappeared, and he had both of his blinds were left wide open, but you couldn't see in because it was really dark. And normally he closes everything up. It's like, God, am I going to have a Kelly thing happen in here? But this morning, actually, literally this morning, I
like
walked by
today.
and the blinds are now up and stuff. So something's happened. So it's like, well, I
See-
hope it's that he's alive and not that somebody finally discovered him.
Right.
I had a neighbor during the heat wave a couple years ago
Ooh.
in my
Oh.
building. It was not my next door. It was the one after. So 2 apartments down from mine. And he died during the heat wave. But he had a dog. So his dog walker found him the next day. So there was never it
Well-
never got to the point of smelling.
I don't know if you remember, Eric, that happened during that heat wave also.
No.
That's right.
And,
so you found out faster
he-
than you might have otherwise.
Well, not fast enough. The landlord did decide to share with me that he'd pretty much liquefied by the time they pulled him out.
Oh. That's up
'cause-
where. Oh.
Yeah.
very CSI.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Okay. Back to less interesting things. This movie.
Yeah, it's hard to stay on point on this one, isn't it?
So Keyes now is inspired to create new art while the mirror is in his place. This seems to be the mirror's MO. It gives you a bunch of great ideas, then makes you kill yourself.
That's right.
Great
Well,
ideas.
I like that you said that because I wrote
Great.
down here, except the ideas really aren't that great.
Yeah.
The
You're
original
right.
house was fashion. It was a interior decorator.
Mhm.
Right.
Just has a
Saw where
lot
that
of
led.
bitterness.
Because the idea he gets is he wants to make some kind of bizarre Thanksgiving dinner scene with cutout pictures of his photography that he's going to blow up to full size. We get a scene of him developing film and apparently being frustrated by all of it because he keeps crumpling up the photographs and throwing them away. When we see the finished product, we're supposed to think it is amazing. It is a bunch of life-size photographs of people with no faces. Spoiler, for those of you who haven't seen this film, it is not amazing.
No.
It's,
like,
it's quite bad.
yeah, that was whole setup. I mean, performance art is weird enough as it is.
That's true.
But at least it should be interestingly weird. This is like, he's going to like squirt them with a squirt gun with blood. to
With
reenact
blood.
What's going
With that super soaker.
Mm.
Hey.
And
Yeah.
the TV setup by the other artist. Oh, we need to get a shotgun in here somehow.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's the kind of thing that, like, I mean, this is how you know that there was no research done. It's the kind of thing that non-artistic people feel like is
Yes.
artistic.
Yeah.
It's performative of, and they're like, look at this. This is gonna look so deep. Like, no, it's not.
DeFario, the writer of this, has gone on to produce Ready Player One and Gravity. He's listening to this right now going, how dare you?
That's right.
Man, that's very hurtful.
That's
I am an
right.
artist.
If you are actually listening to this, reach out. We have scripts.
We have ideas.
We have scripts. You think these are good? We got some really good scripts.
One of the frustrating notes I have here is we find out the faces of all the photographs have been removed because they won't develop correctly. When he shows his girlfriend what's going on with the faces, they develop as demons or something like that. This is
emulsion doesn't.
Well, this is not a horrible throwback, Eric, if you remember, to Amityville 3, where the photos wouldn't develop either and had that stuff. Except
they don't.
No fucking tie to it at all. So
it gets immediately dismissed and
it's
disappeared.
Immediately dropped. Like every fucking scene in this movie is just like, that was creepy. Let's never speak of it again.
Never talk of it again. It'd be so. You're like, you guys are so close. You're so close. Oh. It's the whole time.
We get a final dream sequence where Keyes is revealed in the mirror as the person who has killed the family, and I was like, is this a reveal? Was anyone surprised this is what we were going to see?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got more notes.
Oh,
I was a little tipsy.
No.
I say I am so fucking confused about what's going on. Please tell me who was killed at the Thanksgiving dinner. Keyes tells his girlfriend he can't remember any of it because he wasn't born yet.
Right? Yeah.
But everyone was killed there. So what the fuck? Where was his mom then? And if he wasn't born yet, and if his dad killed his family there, his mom had sex with him after he was in prison?
I think I think that was why I had in my head that she was pregnant with him. That they were young, like he was like a prom night baby or something. So she was pregnant with him. He kills his family, and then she's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna give birth to the baby the son of a killer man." And
so we're back to him having an affair. He was shot. She was pregnant when killed, and the EMTs showed up.
But she wasn't there. She was never. Yeah. So she was just pregnant, and because he was supposed to be like a teenager or something when he did the murders. I think.
Oh, DeFeo? Are you going back to DeFeo? Or
no, but I think they were doing that intentionally to kind of mimic the DeFeo murders. That I guess we don't ever really see.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wanted to say I need more story in here, but what I need is less story in here.
Yeah.
This is too much for this kind of movie.
They can't keep track of the story that they're putting out there.
Right. Okay. Night of the show. Eric, like you said, we see one of the other artist's sculptures. It's a loaded rifle hooked to a TV and a timer and a chair in front of it. It's literally Chekhov's gun, except that it was supposed to show up 2 fucking acts ago. If anybody had even mentioned once that there was a gun in the commune, that would be something.
Yes.
But it shows up here and then it is used here.
Yeah, I think I've got a note earlier here where somebody used a knife for one of the kids. Like, well, that's oddly un-Amityville. To have somebody killed with a knife or then hung by a noose.
Right. People start showing up to view the art. Critics, I guess.
Art fans.
Right.
I don't know.
Drunks off the street.
Hey.
They're dressed too nice.
Yes.
They're dressed too nicely.
Yeah.
Would have been great though if we had seen one of them, like the homeless guy
Like
with
the
the
homeless
umbrella
guy.
wanders
Yeah.
in.
That would have tied it all back in. And he brought the umbrella. That was his art.
That would have been awesome.
I'm offering this up as part of it.
So Keyes starts going a little nutty, but he can feel himself going nutty. So he leaves a message for Terry O'Quinn.
If only he'd gotten with. Well, I guess he made it in time.
He did.
He get just if he'd ordered one more thing of Chinese food, never would have happened.
So I would all been over.
He kind of makes it in time because
such
prior to
a-
him showing up, the evil of the mirror takes over the building's fuse box.
Sure.
And
yes.
electrocutes David Naughton, which is only important at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
Keyes' art piece is finally revealed to us. There will be no photo standees, but apparently live actors.
Yeah.
And he is then sucked into a mirror dimension of the hospital where he sees all of his dead friends and has to confront his father. I'm telling you guys, this has some neat ideas and a budget that absolutely cannot execute them. Because I like the idea that he is sucked into a mirror dimension.
Yeah.
And we've seen that done very well in like Stranger Things and stuff now.
Sure,
And so there's material to be mined here.
Yeah.
But these writers are not strong enough. The budget is not big enough. It's a real bummer.
Yeah.
Anything on the mirror world, you guys?
there was moments with the lighting and the cinematography throughout where I was just like, oh, if y'all had a little bit more, this could have, like, there's stuff there.
Yeah.
There's stuff being done. There's some artistic choices being made. And I feel like I looked the cinematographer up, and they're like a person. They're
okay.
yeah, they're like, no, they're like, they've gone on to do
Do a lot
some
of stuff.
yeah, to do some legitimate, like, very good things. So you see some of what could have been, which makes it so much worse because it's right there. Just oh, I wish you could have done anything else or cut some of it to, I don't know. It's such a awesome bit of the 90s. Like, I wish I could show it as an example to some of my students of, like, do you want to know what the 90s were? Here. Go nuts. 90s. Right there.
There's a kind of cool scene in there where David Naughton pushes his face up against the glass and he's got some horribly burned scar makeup on and everything. And for a moment, and he's like acting. He's having a good time.
Cool.
And I thought he was like, you know, the last thing I was in that had cool makeup effects was 12 years ago, and I would love to do something like that again.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best makeup in the movie because when he's when he's electrocuted, Suki shows up and we get to see a demon version of her there. I was like, okay, there's some craft here.
Yeah, yeah. There's solid ideas. There's some solid things happening. The actors are all giving it their gut, just giving it their all. It had the potential.
Yeah.
And then it didn't.
It's one of those things where I'm sure if you talk to the director, and Eric, you know how this goes with our own film, and the director is like, I had amazing shots set up. And then the cinematographer comes in and says, how long do I have to set this up? You got 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He's like, well, then this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
Keyes is released back into the real world. He thinks about killing himself, but instead goes on a killing spree in the studio, except all he is doing is killing the food that is on his art piece.
And somehow not hitting any person.
He is, we've never known anything about him, but he is apparently a crack shot.
He's a damn good shot.
The cops finally show up, and apparently they're much more lenient than present-day police because as he's aiming and firing the rifle, they continue to not shoot him.
Yeah, they're just like, let's see how this plays out. I want to see where this goes before we make any assumptions.
If you see any blood, then shoot him. Otherwise, we're good.
Because it's art, guys. This might just be part of it. It's art.
It's literally people sitting around a table filled with food, and he's shooting the food, but that means he is shooting right at the people at the table, and the cops are standing behind him going, freeze, drop it.
We really mean it this time. Come on, don't make us say it again.
No, let him go through. This is a psychology kind of moment for him. He needs to break through.
He's working through something real hard. Trauma. All that hair trauma, guys. All that hair trauma.
And then finally, the power of love compels him or something because his girlfriend gives him the old, look at me, look at me. And he kills the mirror instead. Is he arrested for discharging a weapon in a public space?
No.
Absolutely not. In fact, he's hailed as a genius artist.
7 years
around and
bad
leave.
luck.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yes, that's what the final line is. Terry O'Quinn saying, big mistake, Keyes. 7 years bad luck. And then he kind of gets a smile in his eye. And you're like, I feel like this was not in the script. And somebody at the end said, wait a second. Hold on, you guys. I have a great fucking idea.
I got something for the blooper reel here. You guys will crack up at it. What, you put it in the fucking movie?
And it remains.
Okay. We can assume they all live happily ever after because the credits roll. However, in a couple of days, there's going to be a very bad smell coming from the basement where the fuse box is. Where they could go down there and find David Naughton's electrified and burned body, which is never addressed again in the film.
That's true.
Never.
Yeah. And
Never.
somehow the power just, magically comes back on.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a demon, so.
Demon did it.
That's why they didn't care what happened to him. The power came back on. Everything's good.
Kim, at the end of these things, we like to just sit and chat for a minute. And I like to ask the question, did we like this movie?
Oh, like is such a strong word. Did I like it better than the Lamp movie? Yes, because I
Oh, good.
recently watched the Lamp one, and if my bar is what's scarier, a lamp or a mirror, the mirror wins. But yeah, there was moments I would get engaged, but then there'd be these whole stretches where I'm like, I'm trying real hard to stay invested in this movie, and I am failing. Like I need to pay attention to this, but like I could also just look out the window, and that's probably more interesting. So it was kind of dull. Um which was frustrating because there's moments happening. Like I thought Suki's death scene was actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Even if the art was shitty. The death scene itself, how it all played out, there was ideas that were really cool, but I felt like they were throwing all of these ideas at the wall, and rather than expanding and using, they just kind of like, let's just keep it all and not really go anywhere with any of them. So is it the worst Amityville movie I've ever seen? Absolutely not.
No, it's not.
Is it a great movie? Absolutely not. So that's kind of where I stand with it.
I kind of almost feel like for the rest of the Amityville series, I need to get up at 4:30 in the morning and watch them, because I had a lot more fun watching this one than the last 3 or 4.
Wow. Okay.
And not because it was good, it's because I was just going with it.
Yeah.
I didn't have my phone. I just went with this weird ass 90s movie and was fine with it. It was not everything we've said was true.
Right.
It didn't work. It doesn't follow through on any of its ideas, but I was just like, it's kind of cool, man.
I think I wished I was drunker. I was like, I wish I was drinking during this, and I watched it before I had to go do a tour. So I was like, damn it, I can't. I can't be. I could maybe a little, but I can't be drinking during this.
Only 4 shots.
Only 4 shots. That'll be fine. That'll match the rest of Pioneer Square. But I sort of wish I was a little bit under the influence of something.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was a lot under the influence, and I
Yeah.
wish I was drunker.
Yeah, see.
I will disagree with you. I don't think this is anywhere near the quality of the Lamp movie. The Lamp movie is bad, but far more entertaining. There was stuff going on in that film that made me laugh and made me interested. And in this film, I was like, okay, this is better than the last one, the Amityville Curse, but it's
Sure.
not. I didn't find it to be as engaging as many of the other ones. And I think the Lamp one is better than the original movie, quite honestly. So if I say this is better than this is one of the ones I don't feel is better than the original
See,
film.
the Lamp one I didn't think was better. I thought it was more entertaining because it was so bad that it's more entertaining to watch. And this one was so close. It was like a couple 5 rewrites of the scripts away from being maybe a decent film.
Yeah.
Which made it more frustrating to watch than entertaining.
I'll take me a Patty Duke over a David Naughton.
That
Well,
is
sure,
true.
yeah.
That is true.
And then I started thinking, I was just saying in this episode that was this a movie that started out as something other than an Amityville movie,
Yeah.
except it's the same writers of The Evil
Yeah.
Escapes and
Good
something
point.
else, the Clock one. It's about time. So
Hmm.
it's clearly supposed to be an Amityville movie. I don't know. I feel like maybe, yeah, without getting an oral history, we can't tell. But who comes to them and says, all right, you guys have $200,000. We need a script by Wednesday.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
wait a second,
Today's
it's Monday.
It does have the feel of an early draft.
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
like one of the first drafts of a script where you're like, okay, there's some stuff here. Now let's, write another draft. You're like, no time. Just take it and roll with it. I'm like, okay.
I have very little trivia on this one. It is inspired by the book, like the last couple were, Amityville, The Evil Escapes by John G. Jones. This movie acts as the third in a trilogy of films based on The Evil Escapes. And interestingly, the art commune is the same exterior building as Patty's Pub from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, weird.
Oh.
I did have a note here on the DP, the cinematographer there for you to put
Yeah.
down. He'd go on, is Wally Pfister would go on to direct work with Christopher Nolan on The Prestige. He's
Wow.
the
That was it.
Prestige DP as an Academy Award-winning turn in Inception.
Wow.
So, he rose. He learned.
He learned.
Yes. But, we forgot the tagline
Which
because
is
they're fascinating. There's two. Well, there might be three. But terror has a reflection of its own, and terror has a reflection all its own.
I'm out.
I feel like there could have been a better tagline.
Yeah, probably.
As always, I like to pull out a review of my favorite reviewer
yes.
on Amazon.com, John Jacob Taylor. John Jacob Taylor 1 says, "This is a great horror film. It is very underrated. It is not a 3.6. It is better than Amityville Horror. It is better than Amityville 2, The Possession. It is better than Amityville 3, The Demon. It is better than Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes. The Amityville Curse is better. Amityville, It's About Time is also better. The Amityville Dollhouse is also better. Amityville 2005 is also better. This movie has a great storyline. It is the 7th Amityville movie. It has great acting. It also has great special effects. I give it 9 out of 10. It is no 3.6. People do not like this movie because it is a sequel. See this movie. It is a great movie."
I want to see like this guy's notebook or whatever he's got where he's rating all these things. Like
I did,
Love it.
not a deep dive on him, although I did try to stalk him on Facebook. I couldn't figure out which
Find.
John Jacob Taylor he was. But he's got like 1,000 reviews on Amazon.
Wow.
And all
Wow.
of the Amityville movies. So
I mean, he listed
Nice.
a good chunk of them right there.
yeah. And he's not afraid to tell you which one this is better than and which
Yeah.
one this is not better than.
That's right.
I appreciate that straightforwardness in my reviews.
John Jacob Taylor, we salute you. And we
Yes.
thank you for
Absolutely.
your service. Kim,
Mhm.
we know that the Warrens got themselves involved in the Amityville case.
Yeah, they did.
And listeners of this podcast know how Eric and I feel about the Warrens.
Yeah.
What's your take on the Warrens?
Oh, my take usually gets me into trouble.
That sounds promising.
So, the word fraud isn't used greatly enough or often enough.
Excellent.
I think they made a real good career for themselves. Like Zach Baggins, they found their niche audience and exploited it. I think, particularly recently, there's been some stuff that's come out about Ed Warren that I wish I could say I was surprised, but is absolutely deplorable. So, where I already had a fairly low opinion of them to begin with, the more recent things that have come out about some of the abuses he is apparently
Right.
Oh,
yeah, that's taken it to a whole other level. But I think that they exploited a lot of people who put their faith in them, and I think that's deplorable. I think I mean, props to them for their business savvy. Like they built an empire out of playing off of a lot. Well, and him, at least, he knew it. Some of the stuff that he
Yeah.
said during the Enfield poltergeist, where he full on told, because they were involved with the Enfield poltergeist, they went for like a day to
Right.
the UK, which, if you've seen the second Conjuring movie, that's the case they cover, except the Warrens had next to nothing to do with it.
And didn't they show up and tell the officer, if we play this right, this
Yeah.
is a career-making
You'll
case?
get
Yeah.
a book. He's like, write
Yeah.
a book about this. You'll like it full on admits to, and that's not the only time that he was on record saying to somebody like, you can write a book on this. You'll be able to exploit this. You'll be able to make money off of this. And that all by itself, I'm like, again, make your money how you're going to make your money. No judgment there. I dislike that. I think they made a lot of people think things that made situations worse. I think that it's how I feel about a lot of mediums. I think that there is an element of therapy where if you are helping somebody, great. If you make somebody feel like you are contacting their dead whomever and you are bringing that person peace, awesome. Honestly, I don't care. It's when they're exploiting people and they're making money off of people and they're writing falsehoods and abusing people. I'm like, nope. So I don't have the best opinion of them. May they rest in peace, because they're both dead now. She
Oh, she died.
she died not too long ago, a couple years ago, I think. And he died early 2000s. He's been dead for quite a while. But there's been more stuff coming out since she died that I think was being kept under wraps, and now some of the accusations, particularly against him, have been coming to light recently. So, I don't have the kindest opinion of the Warrens.
That'll work.
And then I wanted to get a little bit into your ghost hunting.
Sure.
And how often you do it, what it entails, who do you do it with, and what have you seen?
Oh, and a little less since the pandemic, just because that going into people's houses,
Yeah.
that put a little bit of a stop to a lot of things for a while. I do the tours at Spooked in Seattle, and I initially got hooked up with them because their sister organization was a ghost hunting group that I've been a part of. More recently, though, I get asked into a lot of places, either by people I know. I've been getting a lot of local theaters. I've been getting
Nice.
asked to either, like, sometimes I'm consulting on a play they're doing. I consulted on a play at the Rep and another one at Theater Off Jackson, and like Theater Off Jackson, I taught the actors, because they were supposed to be playing paranormal investigators, how to use some of the equipment, and we did a little ghost hunt at the theater, and then got some really weird readings and freaked everybody out, which was my favorite moment of the evening. I got to leave when they went about their rehearsal. I was like, all right, y'all have fun. Be nice to the ghosts. I'm out. Which is my favorite thing, to just stir everybody up and then be like, okay, I gotta go. Have fun. Ghosts are great. But no, it's a lot of referrals, and honestly, a lot of times you're being called in to verify a haunting, and more often than not, what I'm verifying is you guys have mice, or you have old pipes, or you should really get the wiring of this place checked out. A huge amount of the time, you find rational explanations for whatever they've been experiencing. We ask, if you think you have a ghost, one of the first things you're asked to do is to journal everything you notice. Anything. Cold spot, write it down. Write the time, write the date, write if you have pets, where are your pets? If you have, did your heating turn on? Is the air conditioner on? Any observations? Because we start to look for patterns. Are things happening in the same location? Are certain things happening at the same time? If you have kids, where are your children? Because sometimes, you keep hearing a weird noise every time your kids are in the basement. Okay, there's probably sound traveling through pipes. There, you're trying to you want to eliminate everything before you go to Ghost Did It. At least I want to eliminate everything before I go to Ghost Did It. And then sometimes you have the stuff where you're like, well, I can't explain that. That was weird. Doing the tour guiding, you do hang out in a number of haunted locations. I spend a lot of time in Merchant's Cafe. And man, weird stuff happens in Merchant's Cafe. There's the spirit of two children in their downstairs area. And I was leading a tour, and I was bringing them in there, and I had this little boy on the tour. He was like maybe 6, but he was super like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So he had all these like ghost questions and wanted to know everything. So he was my shadow. He was right next to me. And we get down the stairs, and he looks in the corner, and he goes, who's the little girl? And I'm like, what? Not a whole lot creeps me out, but when kids go, I see dead people, I'm like, nope, nope, I'm out. And so stuff like that, like no one else saw her, and he got kind of frustrated about it, and he said she was wearing a weird dress, and I was like, congratulations, my friend, I think you just saw a ghost.
Wow.
That's cool. That's wild.
And a little ghost hunter was born in that moment. But I've had, my clothing gets tugged at, especially at Merchants, like a little kid trying to get my attention. I was doing an investigation at It's the Walker Ames house, which is in Port Gamble, Washington.
Oh,
Cool city. Yeah, a little town. Crazy haunted. Whole town is haunted.
Wow.
It's historic. So there's a lot of the original buildings there. And the Walker Ames house is it's gorgeous old mansion, and we were the whole place is crazy haunted, but we were in the attic. And the attic has a couple different spirits, including, again, the spirit of a child. And investigators keep toys out for the little kid spirits. It's a way to, get them engaged, to get them to come and maybe do something. We'll ask them to move a ball or whatever. And it was myself and I think there's 2 or 3 other investigators with me, and we're all sitting in a circle. And when we're on investigations, anything we notice, we record. We don't say it out loud. We record it.
Right.
We timestamp and record it. Because again, we don't want to influence each other. If I drop my flashlight, I have to record that. So that when we're looking at everyone's notes, someone else in the house hears a thump at 9:05, and at 9:05 I drop my flashlight. Cool. We know what happened there. So we're doing an EVP session, which is where we make recordings and we ask questions in hopes of getting some kind of response. And we'd asked a question and the temperature of the whole place just plummeted. And this is August. And it's the attic, right? So it was very, very hot. But we saw it. It dropped a good 10 degrees on our meters. And there was some kind of shadow behind us. So the other investigator invited what we assumed was the little boy to come sit with us in the circle. And about 10 seconds later, my whole left arm just went cold and goosebumps, hair standing up. So, I record that. And at the same time, the girl who was sitting to the left of me recorded that her right arm, goosebumps, went cold exact same time, as though this little spirit just sat between us, joined us in the circle, and we both went, because temperature fluctuations are very common when you have a spirit coming in. So, the Walker Ames house is great because every time I go in it, even on days where not much happens, something happens.
Man, Jesus.
Something weird happens.
Creepy. I'll be honest. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I want to believe in it, and I'm afraid that if I experienced it, I'd be able to talk myself out of it all the time.
Oh, sure.
I just know the way my brain works. I'd be scared at the moment.
Sure.
And then, after a day, I'd explain it away somehow.
Well, and we want to kind of look for those things that, I don't know, it's fun to think there's a ghost. It's fun to think that there's Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. Sure. I get sent a lot of pictures. I get asked a lot of questions, I think my house is haunted. And people start explaining things. And there's the 2 sides of me. There's the sides of me that wants to be like, okay, so I can tell you even without being in your house what's probably going on.
Yeah.
Just based on how you're describing certain things and what I know about old houses and wood that expands and contracts and drafts and all that. But you don't really want me to tell you that. You want me to reinforce that you have a spirit, because that's more fun, because you want to live in a haunted house. And generally, most spirits are not, flinging people off of balconies, despite what movies tell us is happening. Most things that happen, even in an active haunted space, your keys move, or something gets knocked to the floor, or the TV turns on, or the lights turn on, or it's stuff that's very easy to dismiss as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you have an old house. You're like, oh, the wiring's bad. That's why sometimes the lights flicker. It's fun. It's fun to think you've got, my haunted doll does stuff. And do I think she's haunted? Yeah, I've seen some weird stuff that she's done. Does everyone think she's haunted? Absolutely not. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I like living in a world where I have a haunted doll on my shelf. That's a good time.
I like listening to the way you describe how you do stuff, as opposed to the ghost hunting shows or that obnoxious ghost adventure dickhead who just yells at spirits. I'm here, come. It's what are you? Sit, go away.
No. Yeah.
What you describe sounds scientific methody there, where you're progressing. And that sounds, that's not a great TV show.
No, it's not.
But that's a great experience for you to do stuff like that. I think that sounds really interesting. That's cool.
And there's a reason why most of the ghost shows that are on are, I felt a demon touch me,
exactly.
because that's entertaining, and somebody sitting there like watching a temperature gauge and snapping some pictures and asking questions on an EVP session, not a spirit box because I refuse to use those. It's not particularly compelling to watch.
Right. And then later, let's compare notes.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I got my report and you got your report. What happened? Did anything happen at 9:03? Oh yeah, at 9:03 I did this. Oh great. Yeah, it's not the most riveting thing on the planet. It's the hours you just spend listening to recordings, because you put tape recorders all over, and sometimes video cameras. So the amount of time I'll spend watching, 6 hours of video feed for any change, and you can't stop watching, because the second you stop watching, something could happen. So you're just like,
I have to blink. Pause. Okay.
Wait, but maybe this. No, it's okay. Something might change at any second, guys. Which is where I feel like my tolerance for really bad movies has gone up.
Something's gonna happen.
Exactly. Anything has got to be more entertaining than this live feed of someone's living room. Oh no, that's the cat. Okay. Yeah. So.
I will say that as I've gotten older, and really just in the last year or two, I've had long discussions with people who have kind of opened my eyes to the fact that as humans, we perceive 3 dimensions, and that there's just other stuff going on that, even animals can detect that we can't detect. And so it is opened my eyes to the idea that there's stuff probably moving around all the time that we just can't perceive. So I'm open to it, but I'm also an old man.
Yeah, build that from beyond machine. See what happens.
Right. Oh God, yeah. But part of it would also be then the fact that I would have to come to terms with there's stuff moving around me all the time, and I am not comfortable with this.
Yeah, no shit.
You don't want to think about that too hard.
Right.
Very true.
Kim, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well,
if you want them to find you.
Sure. No addresses, phone numbers.
Well, if you want to see me give a tour, then you can go to Spooked in Seattle. If you want to listen to my podcast, you can go to ghoulishtendencies.com or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Sometimes City of Geek records, so
sometimes
Bob posts, and once a year usually we record. So we've got plans to record an end of year. So if we're following from last year's, Bob will have that posted by 2027. No shade, Bob. I love you. Bob is amazing. He's the only one currently actively posting, so really no shade. On Twitter, at Seattle Screams, I talk a lot about horror films on Twitter and sometimes live tweet stuff. Otherwise, that's probably all the interesting things.
And the podcast is Ghoulish Tendencies also?
Ghoulish Tendencies, yeah.
Okay. Eric, what about you? What's going on with you?
Podcast.
Keep in mind that this is coming out in 4 months.
Who knows when it's coming out? Yeah. Well, we've started production on our new film.
Right.
And I'm glad it's one of my favorite scripts Kelly's ever written. So I'm excited about that.
Wow, thank you.
So I'm looking forward to doing this this film about a disembodied head in a box.
Oh, wow.
What develops out of it.
Fantastic. Depending on when this comes out, my novel is either just about to come out or has been released. It is called The Secret Language of Spiders, and you can find that at Amazon.com and other places, and keep up with all my writing on writtenbyklyoung.com. That's it for the episode. Thanks for everybody listening. Thanks, Kim, for coming all the way up here to do this in person. Really appreciate that. And we will see you next time. The next movie is the Amityville Horror Remake with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, goody.
And his chest.
Ooze, a black substance, which was of the same nature and appearance as that which was on the porcelain in the toilets. And when the investigative team came on March 6, 1976, the substance was still on the keyholes, and they were able to obtain samples of it because it was never in a moist condition. Right. And they wouldn't do physical damage to the door, in other words, carve out a piece of wood without our consent.
Had either of you had any experience before with the occult or the supernatural, ever before?
We didn't believe in it.
Were you afraid for your children? Why didn't you leave earlier than the 28 days if you were terrified?
Well, it was our house. First of all, we had never intended to give it up. Even after we moved out, we intended to find out what was wrong and move back in there.
The Amityville Horror. Possession. 3D.
Silence.
Harvest.